I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, she doesn't play by the rules. Well, sometimes you're going to encounter a woman, typically when you're dating a chick that is a super alpha female, that I like to call it. When you date a woman that's like a supermodel or a beauty queen or the captain of the cheerleaders, like this particular guy, who obviously he says he was a nerd in high school, and 8 years later he runs into the chick who's used to be the captain of the cheerleaders, and some of the things that she said to him are a little contradictory to what he's come to know that works when it comes to pickup dating and seducing women. So he's making some mistakes here, but there's some really good things that come up. And because the thing you gotta understand is, like, when you're dating a super high achiever alpha female, like captain of the cheerleaders, these women are used to getting what they want from guys. They're used to all men acting weak and acting like pleasers and kissing their ass. And if you've ever spent a lot of time hanging out and dating and getting to know some really beautiful, super amazing women like that, you'll notice that they'll know guys, or that they'll have friends, like you'll be hanging out together, and these guys will come in and they'll just like go into like ultra butler mode. Can I get anything for you? Can I get you beer? Can I get you a drink? Do you need a napkin? Oh, you're cold? Hey, does anybody have an extra sweater for so-and-so? And they just go in this. It's like hilarious to fucking watch, because I've had several girlfriends that I've watched this over the years, the guys that they may have known for 10 or 20 years, and it's like you're having this normal conversation with this dude, and then my girlfriend comes walking in the room, and it's like they just like go through this fucking metamorphosis where they're acting like a cool guy like you'd like to hang out and have a beer with, and they just turn into fucking Gumby like a butler. And it's like, can I do anything for you? Can I get you a drink? You need a beer? And just like, it's like, dude, come on, man. It's like he's like fucking drooling all over himself. It's amazing. So it's like when you get around a woman like this and you're not used to dating women like this, or you haven't dated a lot of them, you got to be on your fucking game, because they're going to see right through your bullshit. And so anytime where you're not acting congruent, when they can tell you really desire them, like you want to put your arms around them and kiss them or make a move physically, and you don't, you just kind of stand there like a robot, they can sense that, and they'll call you out on that sometimes. And since these women are used to intimidating guys, they'll sometimes tell you to do things like, I mean, like I've talked about in the past, and I talk about in my book. You ask a typical woman, what do you want a guy? I want a guy that wines me, dines me, buys me flowers. And then you ask him, well, tell me about the guys that you date. Tell me about your last couple boyfriends that you had. What are they like? And they start describing these guys, and like, these guys never do anything that the women say that they want in a guy. And so it's like they think that they want one thing in a guy, but yet they themselves don't even think about the fact that they actually emotionally respond and desired and fell in love with guys that acted completely different than what it is that they say they want. And so one of the things that a quote I want to share regarding this article I think is good to talk about, and part of it is an excerpt from my book. And I heard this quote from somebody years ago, and he said, "The love that you withhold is the pain that you carry." And this is an excerpt from my book. "Fear and hurt imprison the heart. When you are feeling pain, you are focused on yourself, because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of all relationships is you go there to give." So let's go through this guy's email. He says, "Hey coach, I recently begun dating a woman I used to go to high school with, but I hadn't seen her in 8 years. I used to be a nerd, and she was a cheerleading captain, a genuine 10 in beauty, so she didn't really remember me. But I guess it doesn't matter, because all has changed now. I've become skilled at pickup and absorbing whatever material I can get my hands on and practicing. I've used it to great success. However, I'm moving into a relationship focus, and that's how I found you and read all of your material, which is excellent." Well, you're going a little wrong there, because you're focused on the relationship thing. And as a man, your job in the courtship is to hang out, have fun, and hook up. Rinse, recycle, repeat. It ain't to have a relationship with this girl. Because when you start focusing on relationship, you're giving off relationship vibe, relationship energy, and because the other thing is, you've got, and we're going to get to it in a second here, this particular girl, she's had some bad experiences with other guys. And so you start talking about relationship, and something, naturally she's going to bring up other guys or things that didn't work out with other guys. And when she starts talking about other dudes, you got to remember, women are emotional beings. And so she starts rehashing old negative emotions regarding other guys that she dated. And guess what? Now that she's talking with you and about this subject, she's feeling negative emotions and she's talking with you. What do you think she's associating you with? Negative things or positive things? So whenever you get into a conversation with a woman or you say something to her, you got to ask yourself this simple question. Is what I'm about to say or do going to make me look more confident, sexy, more attractive, and more appealing and more masculine as a man? Or is it going to make me look weaker, needy, unsure of myself, feminine, and weak? And if the answer is it's going to make me look negative in her eyes, well, you don't want her looking at you negatively, or worse, feeling negative emotions. That's why it's best to not talk about the ex-boyfriends. If she wants to share something, let her talk about it, but you don't want to get hung up on the topic, because again, what happens is she starts associating those negative emotions with you, and that's why love is playful and fun. It's not serious, and so that's why a lot of guys get themselves into trouble when they start talking about these things. He says, so now this girl isn't playing by those particular rules that I've learned that have worked so well in the past. He says, because that tells me that you're putting this girl on a pedestal, because you obviously had this girl on a pedestal when you were in high school because you had a crush on her. He says, after our first date, where I acted typically aloof, yet still fun and flirty, she texted me within an hour of dropping her off to tell me that I'm supposed to contact the girl first if I'm interested. And see, here's the thing that you miss, is that she says, you've got to contact me first, but yet she's sending you a text. Do you see what I mean? It's like this girl really doesn't get what she's responding and telling you what she thinks it is she wants, but yet you did everything so well on your first date that she's reaching out to you. And when women do that, it means that they felt really comfortable and they had a good time, and they're a little unsure of themselves, and they're putting themselves in their orbit. So you'll make it easy, or in other words, they're making it easy for you to create the next date. So he says, I thought it was cute. I replied playfully. Everything went well, and I set up a date with her a week later, despite her texting me just to talk and say she missed me nearly every day between that. After that first date, she has rebuffed me every time I act slightly aloof or cocky, and insists that if I like her, show it fully, which goes against everything I've ever experienced, and so I've been apprehensive to do so. I did increase the frequency of our dates, however. This tells me that more than likely, at times you're acting like a robot around her, and she can tell that you're holding back and you're not being authentic. She can tell there are times where you obviously desire her and you want to touch her, you want to put your arms around her and kiss her or whatever, and you're not doing that. And a woman like this, an alpha female like this, she can sense that. She can feel it. And when she sees it, she doesn't like it because it's obviously weakness. And she can sense that. He says, we've gotten together around 6 times now, had a blast, and ended up sleeping with each other the last 3 times. Just sleeping at my place or hers, no sex yet. She feels very strongly about waiting to know that it's not all I want from her, and I'm trying to respect that. Well, that's the problem. You're being Mr. Respectful. That's needy, nice guy behavior. And at the end of the day, sex has to be your fault. She's in your bed and you're in her bed, and the only reason that nothing happened is because you didn't escalate it to that point because you're so worried about offending her. 90% of the time, you're charming James Bond. 10% of the time, you're the naughty boy that takes things a little further. Like I talk about in my book, when you're seducing a woman, 2 steps forward. If she rebuffs you, you take 1 step back, and then a few minutes later, you take 2 steps forward, another run at it, until ultimately you end up inside of her. He says, she seems to be exactly what I want. A beautiful, fun, sweet girl who isn't afraid to put her feelings on the table and doesn't give me the runaround. So here's where it gets hairy. The last time we hung out, she seemed pretty stressed, so I pursued and got her to talk about it. And she opened up that she has really strong anxiety and sometimes takes a prescription for it, and that she's also a bit clingy. That should be a red flag. I imagine the two coincide. She went on to detail how she's had several relationships before this where she felt like she gave everything and got nothing in return. She chased and gave a lot and got hurt. In other words, she's more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear, just like I say all the time. However, because she's got a low self-esteem and she's a little needy and sounds like she's got a little bit of daddy issues going on, what's happening is she tends to pursue men who are not reciprocating, and she ignores that. She bullshits herself into believing that these guys want her more than they really do. He says, now with those experiences under her belt, she's extremely apprehensive to move forward with me and is in kind of an emotional lockout. She said we're getting to the point where she's not sure if she can move on without knowing, and I'm crazy about her, but that she's not crazy about me yet, and wouldn't be too hurt if it didn't work out. Now, what I would say to something like that is just say, hey, let's just continue to have fun together and see where it goes. I can't tell you tomorrow or next week or in 2 months that I'm going to all of a sudden decide I'm head over heels in love with you. And obviously you don't know the same thing either. And so the best thing we can do is just let's not complicate things. Let's just have fun and see where it goes. That's what because women tend to take the little things and blow them up and make them big. And your job as a man is to take her big emotional ordeal and shrink it down to what it is, which is really nothing for the most part. And so by being playful and fun about it and saying things that women typically say to us guys, like, hey, let's not complicate things. Let's just focus on having a good time together and see where it goes. I can't tell you where it's going to be, where we're going to be in 2 months. I can't tell you that I'm going to be head over heels in love with you tomorrow or next week or next month any more than you can tell me that you're going to be head over heels in love with me. Right? And she'll say, of course she'll agree with you on that. He says, now I've expressed a great deal of interest in her already and have done nothing to make someone believe I'm not interested, but she seems very pressing for early escalation on my part, and I'm apprehensive to just lay all my cards on the table. She's telling me that she knows what she wants now and that she only wants a guy who knows what he's got. In other words, she likes a guy with confidence and some balls and who's direct and gets right to the point and goes after what he wants. And isn't afraid to give and pursue more than her until she's comfortable. There, she's communicating what she thinks she wants, but she's communicating the past. She goes crazy over guys that she can't figure out and have her way with, and whose feelings are a little unclear. But her problem is that she's dated guys and ignored the fact that they've dicked her around. He says, and he's confident he's not going to, or she's confident he won't bail on her, and then she'll just equalize the effort. Well, that's a mental concept. Women are emotional beings, and that overrides everything at the end of the day. So don't fall for that BS trap. Because if you go along with that, then you're going to end up becoming the nice guy butler that becomes her gay male girlfriend, and you never get any pussy from her. He says, I expressed that I had enough self-respect to not be part of something that was all give and no receive for me either, but that I felt things had been going fine, and I just continue on the path I've been, and she could take it or leave it. That's a good way to handle it. A non-attached attitude. He says, we slept together last night, but she's still in an emotional lockout towards me. Dude, when you're together with this girl and you're in bed like that, the process of seduction is to get closer and closer and closer and closer to her until ultimately you end up inside of her. And at the end of the day, sex has to be your fault. And that means that she's probably not going to take off her if you get her down to her underwear, she won't take them off. If you get yourself down to your pants or your underwear, she ain't going to take them off. You have to take them off just like you have to place yourself inside of her. And it's like when she wants you to slow down, then slow down, caress her, hold her, talk, chit-chat for a few minutes, and then say something like, hey, bring those beautiful lips back over here again. I miss them. And you start kissing, you start making out, hands wander, get a little further each time until ultimately you take the panties off and she doesn't object. You put your raincoat on, and then you drop the hammer. You give her the old flesh rocket, hot beef injection, pound the princess, beat her guts out, whatever you want to call it. He says, I don't know if she's giving me explicit, easy-to-follow instructions on how to actually obtain and keep her, or if she's just talking like a hopeful girl. What's going on here is she's been hurt, and she's trying to communicate where she's at. And the best thing you can do is when she gets all emotional and afraid, and just tell her, just say, hey, the pain, the love that you withhold is the pain that you carry. And so when you feel anxious about us, or you're thinking about me and you're wondering about things, shoot me a text. Say, hey, I was thinking about you. I love getting sweet things like that from you. Tell her those things. And then when she brings up that other stuff, it's just say, hey, let's not complicate things and let's just have fun together, hang out, have fun, and see where it goes. Because we could get hit by a bus tomorrow. The best thing we can do is just have fun and see what happens. So if you want to get my help right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.